Welcome to Achieving High Performance Leadership. My name is Salvador Evans Tovar, and I'm president of Stagecoach Speakers 525 Market. This webinar is being recorded. By you turning on your camera or speaking, you consent to being recorded. The recordings may appear on District 4's website or on the YouTube channel. As we get started, please mute yourself and turn off your camera now. You'll have the opportunity to unmute and turn on your camera to applaud the speaker at the end of the webinar. For best viewing experience, please enable Zoom's hide non-video participation settings. To enable this on most platforms, click the arrow next to the Start Video button in the lower left-hand corner of your Zoom video. Select Video Settings, and then check the Hide Non-Video Participant checkbox. During the presentation, you will have the opportunity to ask questions via public chat or by messaging me directly in the chat. Please limit comments in the public chat to questions for and the responses to the speaker. Like many of us, Ken Cawley joined Toastmasters to improve his public speaking skills. The skills he developed proved invaluable to his career as a technical instructor and training manager. They even landed him a national commercial during the dot-com boom. However, those of you who were around during those times remember the CNET commercials will know why Ken kept his day job. At the time, USA Today poll placed them at the top of their most hated commercial list. In addition to an extremely short-lived career in commercials, what Ken hadn't anticipated when he joined Toastmasters was the added benefit of leadership development the program provides. Service leadership provided to be something that resonated with Ken and that he fully embraced. The service leadership opportunities he experienced through Toastmasters have been life-changing at both his personal and professional level. These opportunities included leading training organizations for corporations such as Sony and serving within Toastmasters as Director Governor, International Director, and District 4's Pathways Chief Ambassador. Achieving high performance leadership. Please help me and welcome Ken Cawley.
Thank you, Sal. Thank you very much. And good morning, everyone. If you give me a moment, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And with luck, that is what you're all seeing. There we go. So I think what I'd like to do is start with a few definitions. Not many people, or many people may not know exactly what the High Performance Leadership Project is. Well, simply put, it's a leadership development project that's available through Pathways. And then how about leadership? Well, there are countless definitions out there, but for the sake of today's discussion, what I want to use is the one that's actually in the program. We'll go with the Toastmasters one, and it defines leadership as the ability to inspire and guide, build an environment where visions are developed, and support a team where their goals are met. So a leader who fits that definition and does it in a way that motivates others to participate and contribute, it's considered a high performance leader. And then the High Performance Leadership Project, or the most common way it's called is HPL. It's a lot easier. It trips off the tongue a little easier. The HPL provides instruction and practice to develop competencies and skills and activities that are vital to leadership. So these competencies that you'll learn and practice include team building. You'll build a team by identifying the skills and competencies necessary to complete project tasks. Motivating a team motivation. You'll be motivating members through a project from its beginning, from its inception, when you first think about it, until its completion. And then there's developing a plan. You'll go through developing a plan with well-defined goals. Task delegation. This was a big one for me. I like to do everything myself. I had trouble letting go and delegating tasks out. I even had that problem as a manager. I always tried to do everything. Through this project, through the HPL, you'll learn about delegating tasks to team members and providing support throughout your time with them. And then lastly, leading with confidence. You'll develop the skill to lead with confidence to the successful completion of a project. Now, the HPL has been around for quite a while. It actually was part of the old communication and leadership program. And when we moved over to Pathways, Toastmasters International saw this as such an important project that it was so important and used by so many people. In fact, it was a requirement for a distinguished Toastmaster before Pathways. They've included it as a requirement for level 5 in 3 different paths. And then it's an optional elective in all the other paths. Now, one of the things they did, I've done this session many, many times over the years. And I initially thought I was done with it. We've moved on to Pathways. And then I saw a member of my own club end up doing his Pathways and doing all the same things that concerned me back when I was doing presentations on this during the old communication and leadership days. All the same mistakes were made. And mostly it was about rushing through the project and not really using it to its fullest, not really taking advantage of what the project provided. And that's why I decided I would offer this presentation up again and contacted our program quality director about doing it. Now, my first thought was I'll just pull out my old presentation. But what I found is Toastmasters International really completely redesigned the project, but redesigned the program. They've taken it and modernized it, and I'll address a little bit of that going in. And they took it and separated a couple pieces out. The first part of this project in the old CNL days is actually what you would do if you did the, I got to remember the name of it now. It's on the tip of my tongue. Understanding your leadership style. That was actually a part of this program, and it's now taken out as a separate project that you do at level 2 if you're on any of the leadership tracks. So one of the things that they've done is, well, the HPL recommends using the altruistic leadership style. And if you've done the understanding your leadership style, it was one of those that were described there. And altruistic leadership is defined as guiding others with the goal of improving their well-being and emotional state. And altruism itself is defined as the unselfish concern for the welfare of others. So this is one of the areas where Toastmasters updated the HPL program. In the original program, it was developed around servant leadership, around the servant leadership model. And over the years, servant leadership has been refined where to focus more on the team members' welfare to develop the altruistic leadership model. And in management modeling of how to manage and how to lead, altruistic leadership has become one of the most important ones. And then there are 6 areas of altruistic leadership that you see here. And I'm going to go through each of those in turn. But before exploring them, I want to go over the attributes of altruistic leadership. The first one is that it personalizes, altruistic leadership personalizes approaches to meet the individual needs of each of the team members. It leads in order to better serve others. It motivates by empowering the team members, and it uses an ethical approach. It focuses on active listening, empathy, and commitment to building community. And then finally, it's effective in creating a positive culture and promoting high morale within the team members. So coming back to the areas of ethical leadership, ethical leadership. First, there's vision and values. And that's one of the first area we'll look at. It's important for leaders to envision the ideal future of their project or the organization. It depends on what they're working on, while staying focused and engaged in the present. And to be effective, they need to clearly communicate their vision and values to others, including their team, and demonstrate a high level of integrity while allowing their values to guide their actions. Next, we come to direction. And one of the first steps in leading a team is the successful completion of a project is identifying the tasks to be completed. And once these tasks have been determined, a leader needs to set goals and establish priorities. And a part of this process is delegating those responsibilities while supporting the team members in accomplishing the task necessary to turn the vision that leader has into a reality. Excuse me a second, my chair has dropped. All right, and then we move on to persuasion. And the ability to persuade others to see and understand and believe in your vision is a fundamental skill for successful leadership. And when others believe in your vision, they are more likely to commit themselves to achieving it. Next, we look at the area of support. Providing support to all team members will help them function as a cohesive unit. And while each team member has when each team member has the necessary resources and is equipped with the skills necessary to accomplish tasks, they are more likely to stay focused throughout your project. And a leader who encourages constantly will build a stronger connection with their team members. And in turn, those team members they're likely to generate more innovative results. That will help you. If you provide a lot of support to your team members, they're going to innovate for you. And when the team encounters challenges, strong leaders provide the guidance necessary to resolve problems quickly and effectively. And then under the area of development, team members are most likely to contribute at their highest level of ability when their personal needs and goals are met. And to help each member fulfill this, his or her goals, a leader must have an understanding of the individual. The leader may need to fill the role of a mentor, a coach, or an enthusiastic supporter to help develop those team members to their greatest potential. And then we come to the area of appreciation. Strong leaders recognize the value of honoring the efforts of the people they lead by praising their hard work efforts and making a point of recognizing the things they do. And their positive recognizing their contributions and respecting the ideas and opinions of others. Through that, they build a team that works towards reaching the goal with commitment. So, one of the things that is involved with the with the HPL is you have a guidance committee. So you're going to be building a team of people who will work on your project, but you also need a team that are going to guide you. And that is the guidance committee. And it's a very important part of the HPL. And what you will do is recruit members who will help you evaluate your project's progress, give you advice, and offer feedback based on their perceptions of how things are going. And before going too far, you'll want to make sure that you recruit the members of this team. And just a couple things to know, your team, your guidance committee, do not all have to be Toastmasters, but they must include a minimum of 2 members, and at least one of those members must be a member of Toastmasters from the beginning when the project begins all the way to its end. And when choosing your committee, keep in mind you'll work with them for many weeks or possibly months. So you need to make that clear to them when you recruit them in, when deciding how long your project's going to take. And make sure that they're available for the duration of your project. My project that I did many years ago took close to a year. And it was not that easy to pull together a team that was willing to work with me for a full year. So choose committee members who are supportive, practical, and available to meet with you as necessary. So you're going to have a minimum of 5 times that you'll meet with these team members. And the first meeting will be before you actually select your project. And this is the initial meeting you'll have with them, where you'll introduce the team members to one another and acquaint them with your vision for the project. And I'll actually go over what I mean by vision and how you'll develop that. You'll meet with them again after you create your vision. And that's when you select a project and beginning writing your project plan overview. And again, I'll go over that in a moment also. Use this time to have an in-depth discussion with this committee about your vision, your goals, and your plans for communicating about your project to others. And you can also include a time to practice your first speech for your club, because following this point in your project, you'll do a speech at your club introducing your project itself. Then after you you'll meet again after you form your team and begin building your full project plan. And in this meeting, you'll discuss the recruitment and formation of your team, the plan for the project, its specific roles and goals, and the timetable of your project, along with your written plan. Your fourth meeting is, you do this about the midpoint. You'll be developing a project plan. You pick a midpoint, and that's when you want to look at your project and decide, do you need to make changes? So you'll talk about your project, your progress, the obstacles you've run into, and any problems or setbacks, and issues with stakeholders, meaning your team or anyone that this project is going to impact, and any of those things that may have occurred. And then you're going to share how you're dealing with the challenges, along with analysis of the soundness of your original plan. At that point, you might want to ask for feedback on how you might either redirect your plan a little bit, or how you can continue to be successful or become successful with your team members. And then finally, your fifth time that you'll meet with them is after your project is complete. And then this is before you present your second speech to your club. And you'll use this time to discuss the success or challenges. My project actually failed. That's something I should mention. Your HPL project doesn't have to be successful to be a project. It's about learning to be a leader, not about how the project turned out. So I learned a lot about leadership, and I learned one of the things is you can't manage up. I actually chose my team to be people that I reported to. So it was very difficult for that to become my project. Anyway, so you'll discuss that with your guidance committee, and then from there, give your speech to your club. So moving back, as far as you're developing, as you're learning about leadership and others, it's important for you to plan what you're going to cover in that speech. So before your first meeting with the guidance committee, I mentioned that you're going to create your vision. And a vision is a far-reaching idea of the future that is not affected by any constraints. In other words, you've blue skied the whole thing. What do you want to happen, even if it seems a little unobtainable? And when you create your vision, it doesn't matter how you complete it. That's not the time to figure out how you're going to do it. It's just this vision of what you'd like in the future. And when it doesn't matter what they are and how you're going to complete them. The steps to achieve your vision will happen later. So this is not the time to worry about that. As you're doing this, you want to consider all input. Remember, you're going to meet with your guidance committee. So you want to consider their input and the input from your team. And after the conclusion of your first committee meeting, review all the input along with your original notes about your vision, and then use your ideas and the committee's input to decide on what your project will be. Now you'll define your project. And the height form, this is your choice completely. You decide what your project's going to be. And you define what it'll be. And as you define your project, be sure you choose something which you have a strong sense of commitment to. Now, it's important that you manage the scope because it can get out of control. I mean, it happens very easily. So you might want to think about breaking it down into smaller pieces. Your project may be something that is a little bigger that you can do with one group of people. So maybe you'll just pick a small portion of it and you manage the scope of what can be done. So you want to think about this as you refine your options and develop the project. Be sure that your plans remain reasonable in scope, not too broad, and at the same time, not vague. So you want to manage the scope, at the same time, be very clear about it, what's going to be. And your project, as I was mentioning, can be a small step towards fulfilling a broader vision. And you might save, if you decide that, save your notes from the HPL and use them as you move on and broaden that vision. So as you're creating your strategy, you're going to design your plan. And you need to create a project plan. And the project provides you with a project plan overview to help you. And it's a resource to assist you in organizing your thoughts. And your plan overview is a living document that you can edit it and change it at any point within your project as you meet your needs. And this is the time to create your formal timeline. Let me go ahead and move on. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is the point where you're going to give your first speech. And you're going to give your first speech to your club based on the project will give you the outline of what your speech should be. And then you're going to build your team. And as you're building your team, select members who have an interest in your project or will benefit from being involved. Make every effort to balance the group by including members from a wide variety of skills and expertise. And once you have formed your team, bring them together and share your plan and the overview, and give the members an opportunity to make suggestions about your plan. And at the same time, what's the best use of their talents? So from there, you're going to formulate your plan. Now, we saw the overview tool that's provided. There's a project plan overview that you can use this or use if you have other ways that you like to plan projects. But this is a good start. It's a good starting point to use this and use this overview along with the input from your guidance committee and team to build your project plan, and use the project plan provided, or as I said, or create your own. And as with the overview, it's a living document. You can make changes as you go along. So at this point, you're going to delegate your task. And that's where you meet with your team to discuss their skills or other contributions. You would discuss with each person what they bring to the project, and then you're going to assign tasks. And based on your discussion, delegate responsibilities by assigning team members to the task that will make the best use of those skills and abilities. And invite each individual to identify at least one specific goal they believe must be met to be successful to complete the project. It's important. You want to include your team members. And then from there, you set goals for each of them. And there's the typical ideal that goals must be, the smart idea. There's many different ways of looking at this, but they must be specific, measurable, practical, achievable, bound in time. You say when they need to be completed, and action oriented. And then you record all the goals at this and take the time to review them with each member of your team, and then as the team as a whole. And be sure that the completion of each goal will move the project forward, and revise the goals as necessary based on the feedback that you get. Now, you'll be establishing milestones. These are major points. I mentioned the midpoint. You'll establish large milestones when you want to decide. You have a bunch of goals and tasks that the team members have, and you're going to use that list to decide establish your milestones in your project plan. And a milestone is an important point in the project process of your project that are usually connected to the completion of a task or a group of tasks. And then you want to set a timeline. And this is where you take all those individual tasks and you assign them to the individual people. And as you reach each milestone, meet with your team or pause to review how things are going. Is everybody meeting their goals? Are the tasks being completed on time? And then when you reach that midway point, then you're going to discuss with your team and also with your guidance committee. Now, as far as leading your team, you're going to meet with them during the organizational phase. When you're putting them together, you'll have an opportunity to lead your team in establishing the plan. And once the project is underway, your leadership skills become extremely valuable. This is where you really want to develop. It's about you developing as a leader. That's what the HPL is about. Yes, we have a tendency to focus on the project, but you really want to focus on your leadership development. That's what this whole project is about. So once it's underway, they're going to become very valuable. And some of the things you need to think about, first off, is supporting your team. And along with offering them encouragement, validation, and emotional support, you're going to need to provide support as far as clearing any obstacles they run into to enable the project to move forward. And that can involve relationships outside of the team, and you may need to advocate for your team's goals and achievements with external stakeholders and with other groups within your organization. If you do this as a work project, or if you're doing a project within Toastmasters, you may need to work with other groups within your club, division, district, whatever. And you may also need to be present to help your team with their specific task. And you need to know when to intervene. There could be times that there are challenges or conflicts within your teams. Face it, whenever more than 2 or 3 people get together and work on something, there is a chance of conflict. And you want to know when to intervene and when to step back and let them solve things themselves. Give your team the freedom to act and take responsibility for the results, but there are those times you may need to step in to guide them a different direction, or if you have conflict going on, to resolve the conflict. And by allowing your team members to do their jobs assigned to them without interference, you create an environment for the individuals to feel a sense of ownership of the project as a whole, which is what you want. You want them to feel like the project is theirs as well, that it's not just about you. And a sense of ownership generates more participation and greater commitment. So providing learning opportunities to each team member, you'll share what you know and what your team and what you learned during the course of your project. But at the same time, encourage the team members to share their own expertise. Allow time for cross-training between the team members whenever possible, and encourage your team to learn and share what they have learned and what they know. And it's very important to show appreciation. Sincere praise and recognition can boost the morale and increase commitment to your project. Let your team know you value their contributions And at each milestone, that's a good time to stop and review the good work they're doing and have accomplished so far. So talk a moment about the midpoint review. As your project progresses, take the time to review the development of your leadership skills. And once you have several interactions with your team members and face challenges, think about, pause for this review and ask yourself a few questions. First, the questions here about team performance. These are important questions for you to consider. You might want to be considering them throughout, but definitely at the midpoint. You also want to think about your team's effectiveness and ask yourself the questions here about how effective they are. Is there a sense of spirit and cooperation? Are they working together effectively? And then also take time to make a personal assessment about your leadership. And then you may want to answer the questions here privately, or take advantage of another tool that comes with the HPL, which is a 360-degree evaluation form. And then you use the results to facilitate a discussion with your guidance committee during the midpoint meeting. And then once your project is complete, take the time to review the results, meet with your team to debrief about the final results and the experience in working with them, and then to achieve the goal. And thank the team for the commitment and effort to help you in completing your vision. Won't move forward. Come on. There we go. And you're also going to meet with your guidance committee and share what you've learned throughout the process in completing your project. And at the same time, make sure you express appreciation to them. And this would be a good time to pull out the 360-degree evaluation. And at the conclusion of your project, invite all the stakeholders, including your team and the guidance committee, to complete the evaluation about you. And then as you want to make sure that you take the time to analyze the results of your project. And then from there, you're going to share the end result in a speech with your club. And this is the last step in the HPL. So one of the things I wanted to cover, and the reason I offered to do this project again, to do this module again, present it, was in my own club, I saw the same problem happen that I saw years ago when the HPL was part of the communication and leadership program. You have a choice. Are you just going to shortcut it and just check the boxes to get this taken care of? And that was one of the things I witnessed, that it was obvious the person who presented at the end, I question if they even read the information provided, because there were so many things that weren't done as recommended by the project. Are you going to take the hard way? And really, it's up to you. Do you want to learn and develop from this, or do you just want to check the box and say you've done the HPL? That's really a choice for you. I recommend, as with any of the Pathways projects, you do it completely according as described, so you get the most out of it. So from there, whoops, there we go. Now I'd like to open it up to questions. Sal, if you'd come back on, let me know if there are any questions.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that introduction. At this time, if you would like to go ahead and ask some questions, please feel free to place them in our public chat or IM those to me directly. In the meantime, I have a couple of questions that have come in.
Okay.
I do have a question, let me see. Creating your vision. In this area, do you have experiences or examples of a good example of creating a vision? Sorry.
Okay, I have to admit, I'm one of those people, I sit down and I try to create my vision and I start going over the details. I do exactly what they tell you not to do. And really, I think a good one that a lot of people use their HPL for is contests, which are coming up. That's a good one because you lead a team to do the area division contest. And your vision may be about how successful this contest is going to be, and it's going to go along without a hitch. There'll be no hitches. It's just going to be perfect. Everybody's going to love it. It's going to move smoothly from beginning to end. So that's the vision. And then there's a lot of tasks you need to do. And that's when you go back and start doing your project planning and setting milestones and goals with your team to enable that vision to happen. So I hope that provides one.
Thank you, Ken, for that. The next question comes, what were some of your challenges in choosing your committees?
Okay, the challenge I had was getting my committee together. I purposely went out of my way. Well, first off with my team, I mentioned that I managed up. I'm the district webmaster, and I wanted to redesign the district website about 10 years ago. So I made the team I worked with be the district leaders. Well, it was a bit like herding cats. I could almost never get them to come together to work with me as a team. So that was a challenge, but that was part of the failure. But as I said, with an HPL, it's about the process. It's about your team, your leadership development, not about the project itself, but it's how you develop skills as a leader. My committee, I chose people based on, I wanted to take the district website and make it more of a marketing tool, which today it is. The current website grew out of that. And it was about marketing to our external audience, which are people who are curious about Toastmasters, and then our internal audience, which are members, and how they would get the most out of it. So the committee I put together were some people that I respected as leaders within Toastmasters. And then I also, one of my club members was a marketing VP for Oracle at the time. So I brought him in as far as giving me guidance in that area. So even though he was a club member, I was looking for things beyond just Toastmasters.
Thank you, Ken. Here's another great one. In your opinion, is one of the pillars of the altruistic leadership more important than the other?
I think it's all about meeting other people's needs, meeting the needs of your team. So I don't know that, I think you need them all as a whole, but you need to support your team members in so many different ways. And I think sometimes as leaders, or let's use the dirty word, as managers, we forget about our team's emotional needs. We're wrapped up in the needs of running the business. For me, it was a training manager, and I always had to stop, and it's something I learned through the HPL and through the leadership development of Toastmasters, of stepping back and meeting my team's needs at the same time I met the needs of the organization.
Thank you, Ken. Another question here, it says, are there any tools to assist you in organizing your milestones?
Oh, well, definitely taking advantage of all the tools provided in the HPL itself, and probably just go online and just put in as you put the word milestones in, and you might find some good development tools there. But it's mostly about once you've broken up, you have all the tasks, your milestones are, let's go back to the contest. Have you gotten everybody trained as far as your judges? That would be a milestone. Have you gotten all the tools together for the contest itself and have a full understanding of how to use those tools? That might be another milestone. So it's taking all those tasks and goals that you have and breaking them down into, this is a make or break milestone. If we don't have this, we can't move forward. So that might be a way of looking at it.
Got it. Thank you, Ken. And I think we have time for one more, because I think this is a really great question. It says, what are examples of bad direction you've either experienced or seen from leaders?
Oh, do I have to go there? I've done a few myself, a few things wrong. I used to actually have on my desk, my daughter bought it for me back in the old day of Dilbert. There was a pointy-haired manager. When I got my first management position, she bought me a little rubber character to put on my desk to remind me I didn't want to be the manager I kept reading about in Dilbert. I think the worst one I ever had was the manager who said, my door is open. Come to me with anything, any thoughts, any concerns, let me know anything I can do to help you, or if I'm not meeting your needs. I trusted that. I went in and I got the response, the door is open if you want to leave. And it's like, oh my God. So I never trusted a manager, to be totally honest, after that point. So that was the worst I ever received. And that was a manager at Sony.
Got it. Well, thank you, Ken Cawley, for this great session that we've had here. Listen, people, if you have any more questions, you are welcome to contact Ken Cawley. And Ken, is it all right if I provide them with your email address?
No problem at all.
All right. The email we can provide is Ken, K-E-N, Cawley, C-A-W-L-E-Y @Comcast.net. Also, I've just provided out a link in our public chat there. Please fill out the form and tell us what you thought of this program. At this time, you may now unmute yourselves and turn on your cameras to thank Ken. Please message the host if you are unable to mute or turn on your camera.
Thank you all. Thank you all for attending. I hope this kind of give you what you need to do the HPL, and I hope I've motivated you to do the hard way.